be a Florida State Seminole. Fire away.
I guess, kind of first tell us about the transition when you first came in, coming from Mississippi State, and kind of your decision to come in.
You know, my decision to come to Florida State just has a lot to do with the tradition and history of this university. Tremendous respect for Florida State. I was at North Carolina with Mack Brown for 9 years, from 1988 to 1998, and one team that we never beat was Florida State. And we had some tremendous battles with Florida State, but it's a special place, and I've got a tremendous respect for the tradition and history of college football, and this is one of the best. And when you have an opportunity to join one of the great programs in college football, it's a very exciting opportunity. And I left a great program at Mississippi State. Dan Mullen was amazing to me. He was amazing to my family. I was very close to those kids in a very short period of time, and it was a very, very hard thing to do, to say goodbye to those people in Starkville. But Jimbo Fisher offered me an opportunity to be part of a program that has a chance to win a national championship. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, is to win a national championship again at Florida State. And this university affords you all the things that you need to win a national championship, to be able to recruit the absolute best high school football players in America. We can do that here, and that's exciting to me because you guys know I like recruiting.
What are your first impressions of that tight end group so far?
You know, I'm very impressed with the group. Nick O'Leary is a guy that's got tremendous talent. He needs to understand that the details of the game are very important. The fundamental aspects of tight end play, the details, all the little things are important. It's not about the big picture. It's about seeing the little picture and the little things that are involved in each and every play, and teaching him to truly become a student of the game, to totally understand what the defense is trying to do so that you can react instinctively as a tight end. Christo is, again, another kid who's got some athletic ability, got to get bigger, got to get stronger in the run game. Finesseful guy in the passing game, has some natural instincts in the passing game. Need for him to be better on the line of scrimmage. Hapla is a kid who, you know, has a little thump to him. He's the type of guy that I think can become a post player. We're looking for a post player, a guy that can dominate on the line of scrimmage, because one thing we're going to do is we're going to run the football. We're going to run the football, and a key ingredient in running the football well is tight end play. And we're going to play with one tight end, we're going to play with two tight ends, we're going to play with three tight ends some.
You, I guess pretty soon after you took the job, I think you had a couple of things on Twitter where you kind of came out a little bit guns blazing about, you know, what you thought about the quality of Florida State and what, you know, what kind of players you wanted to recruit here. Does that sort of fit with your recruiting style? What kind of feedback from stuff like that do you get from recruits? Are they excited to hear that kind of stuff from you?
I'm not bashful, okay, and I'm extremely proud of the university I represent, Florida State University. And we know at Florida State University, one of the things that we need to do is win the state of Florida. We need to beat Miami. We need to beat University of Florida. That's vitally important to us. And I just want to make sure that people understand we're going to take an extremely aggressive approach to getting the best players in the state of Florida to come to Tallahassee. And we're going to recruit relentlessly. We're going to coach relentlessly. And I think that if you do that, if you have a whole staff of guys that do that, which one of the things that I'm amazingly excited about is the staff that Jimbo's put together here. We've got 9 outstanding coaches and 9 outstanding recruiters. And I think that the Seminole fans are going to see great results. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to do a great job of getting our message out that Florida State is the place to be. The great players in the state of Florida need to be Seminoles. And there's no reason not to come. You can get one of the best educations in America, one of the most beautiful campuses in America, a football program that each and every year is going to compete for a championship. I think that ought to be exciting for young people, and I just want to make sure that that message gets out there to them.
Did you use social media much at Mississippi State? Was that
I do. You know, I think that if you're not using social media, you're missing the boat a little bit today. I think that it's a tremendous way to reach out, because young people today, that's how they communicate. They communicate in social media. Today, young people don't want to talk on the phone. They're not, you know, they're interested in communicating via email, Twitter, Facebook, all those different things. And if you're not taking advantage of that aspect of recruiting, again, you're missing the boat. And so, you know, I try to, you know, I try not to go overboard with the Twitter and that type of stuff, but it's hard sometimes because I enjoy it.
How easy is it to sell this program too? As a guy that's been doing this for decades, to sell this program to recruits?
You know, I was at the University of Texas for 4 years, and you know, we were able to recruit nationally. We really didn't do as much national recruiting at Texas because of how many players were in the state of Texas. Here at Florida State University, it's truly a national name, okay? When you talk about that gold helmet with a spear on the side, okay, kids know that brand. And so, you know, it gives us an entry into kids all across America. And what we've got to do, the most important aspect of what we got to do at Florida State is do a great job in evaluation, making sure we're evaluating properly and absolutely taking the best kids first and foremost in the state of Florida. And then in our areas where we know people. You know, I'm going to recruit Miami, okay, and then from Miami I'm going to go into the state of Texas, and I'm going to go to California, and I'm going to recruit nationally some of the best players in the country, and our whole staff's going to do that. You know, and again, it goes back to the leadership of the head football coach. I don't know that I've ever been around a guy, and I've been around some good ones. Mac Brown was a great recruiter. Okay? Dan Mullen is a young, energetic, great recruiter. Jimbo Fisher is relentless, and I absolutely love it. And he spends the time necessary to do a good job recruiting. And that's something that's very exciting to me, because I'm going to tell you what, we're all good. We think we're all good coaches. I've got tremendous experience as a coach. I'm a veteran, experienced coach. But I'm going to be a better coach when I get great players. When I was coaching Antonio Gates, golly, there's people telling me what a great coach I was, and you know, and that's fun. We want to go out and recruit the best players in the country, but again, make sure that it all starts in the state of Florida.
What ties did you have to Jimbo before you got here?
You know, I really didn't have ties to Jimbo. You know, we knew of each other. I was a head football coach in the Big Ten at Minnesota. Our paths had crossed different times. There wasn't any type of really strong relationship, but there's, I think, a very mutual respect there. I've got tremendous respect for Jimbo Fisher and the work ethic that he brings to the plate each and every day.
Now that you've been here, what have you learned about him?
Well, I just think that, again, my admiration for Coach Fisher grows daily, and it's because he's from West Virginia. He's a hard-nosed, tough guy who's not afraid to roll his sleeves up and go to work. And I'm the same way. I love to work, and I feel blessed that I've got the opportunity to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to work at Florida State University. And I'm working with a great group of guys and a head coach who absolutely gets it. And what's really, you know, with me, the thing too, is that Jimbo, he understands, he's a little bit like Mike Shanahan. A little bit like Mike Shanahan to me, and that his overall knowledge and understanding of the game is outstanding. You know, I've really, in the past couple of days, you know, looking at offensive football strategy, as an offensive strategist, he's got a great creative mind.
You mentioned going up against Florida State when you were an assistant at North Carolina. What do you remember about that 1997 game that was a pretty big deal at the time?
Shoot, you know, I remember it like it was yesterday. You talking about in Chapel Hill? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a tough ball game, because we, you know, that was the time that we felt like at North Carolina we were ready. We were ready to beat Florida State. We had them at home. The environment was on fire. You know, as you guys know that we're there, and But I'm going to tell you what now, Coach Bowden, and again, me being here too has so much to do with Coach Bowden. Coach Bowden coached me in an all-star game. After my senior year at the University of Illinois, I played in the Japan Bowl all-star game, and Bobby Bowden was my head football coach. Amazing respect for Coach and the job that he did at Florida State, the national championships, the conference championships. There's not a finer man in college football. And so, you know, again, my real admiration with Florida State goes back, you know, in time. And you know, that particular night, you know, when I think of Florida State, I think of Derek Brooks. I'll never, you know, seeing him as an absolute blur, whipping my tight end, throwing him down, going and making a play in the backfield, the defensive ends, the defense here, Mickey Andrews. You know, again, like I said, there's so much tradition and history here. It's so exciting.
How much does that experience you had as a head coach kind of help you now coming back as a position coach?
You know, I think it's just a positive. I think there's ways in which I can help Coach Fisher. I think that as long as I've been coaching, I've been in the National Football League, I've been a head coaching, you know, I think there's a calmness to me. You know, there's, regardless of the situation, I've probably been there. I've seen it once or twice before, and so I think that the greatest attribute I think a quarterback can have is calmness under duress. And I think that that's one of the things that I'll have, one of the things that I have. Now I'm a fiery guy. If you get with me on the practice field now, you know, it's you know, I love football. I absolutely love football, and the opportunity to coach it at a place like Florida State is really special.